So each week from now on, because I forgot last time, I will record the class so that if you can't make it, you receive it that evening. I found a way to get the recording sooner than we thought by logging into the browser. So I'll be able to send that out each evening after I teach. Same with Louisa. And then you've got it. You can log in, I think, for a week, unless you want me to send you the actual file. If you want the actual file, that's fine. Just have to tell me separately. So Yin Yoga tonight. So last week we did that lovely chakra class, and it's my favorite class to teach. But this week I thought I like to keep it a little bit different each week. And this week I thought, I saw a few videos about posture and how a lot of us, whether we're home more or working more, because there's two, possibly three categories of people at the moment. We're either working like mad or we've been home more on the computer. So I'm finding it really tough in my back. I've never had so much back pain and aches and pains. Even if I'm doing yoga, I'm still fighting. I'm in a fighting balance. Des made it. So today I wanted to focus a little bit on balancing those postural muscles. So we're looking a little bit at the thoracic spine. So that's the mid spine. When we sit, we're kind of pulled forward, especially if the height of the desk is wrong. We're kind of going to hunch forward, or we're going to lift the shoulders. So I thought let's balance that whole area. So tonight will be a posture balance for that area, as well as the lower back. So I'm going to add something in towards the end for the lower back, because obviously as we sit, some of us after time, we kind of get that rounding in the lower back, but it's not actually all about the lower back today. We're actually going to focus also a lot on the shoulders. So working like this is going to work on tightening here. So we have something called an upper cross syndrome, where we get a bit like this, exactly what I just said. And that would involve the tightness in the front. So I thought, let's just balance all the way around. So there's going to be some child pose variations, some thread the needles. Do you remember that crucifix pose, or you roll over like that? So make sure that you've got plenty of cushioning. So I recommend having quite a thick mat for yin, having a carpeted room if possible. If it's not possible, that's okay. Put something else down. Feel free to go now if you need to pause. You can't pause this. What am I talking about? If you need to just go and get something, we won't start for another couple of minutes. And have pillows, have things that resemble bolsters. The only reason we call them bolsters is because they're yoga specific, but really it's about lifting you up or supporting limbs and body parts. We're going to do one quite intense pose today, and that's going to target the hip flexors. So we're going to do all what I said plus hip flexors. So I'm going to be a good time management today, be good at time management today. So we're going to start in a seated position. So first of all, let's ease ourselves in. So seated position doesn't have to be cross-legged in this instance. It can be any position that you feel comfortable. Take a pillow, sit on it. Even if that's too much today, grab a chair and you can even sit on that. So the idea in this first few minutes is to sit and be able to freely breathe and let your brain, mind, and face all come into that relaxed position and just switch off. If you've ever noticed after a busy day or whatever type of day you may have had, Des has just driven back from Manchester. So you might find that actually it's hard to let go and you're quite wired. So we're going to work on just unwinding some of those bits. So with your eyes gently closing, and it's okay if you can't close them. If you feel a bit too wired, keep them open if you want to see. We're just going to start to observe our own breath. So that means when you next take a couple breaths, can you notice that your collarbones are moving with the breath, or do you find that your belly's moving? It's just observing, so you're looking at your own breath. It's really interesting. For some of us, we like to visualize, don't we? What's going on in the body when we do things. So you can imagine between each and every one of your ribs, there's 3 layers of muscles that are all there to help that rib cage move and help you breathe and bring all that oxygen to all your tissues in the body. So your whole body needs that oxygen. So that's why you have that capacity to open those lungs. Now, this is a good time at the beginning of class also to just let it go. So it might, that could mean anything to you. It could mean that I just want to frown and squeeze my fists together, because I can't see you and Nork in the video unless you can see each other. You might have that option on. You might want to do a little bit of a tense like that. It's a very powerful technique to actually do the opposite of what you're trying to achieve, and then release it, let it go, shake it out. Take a couple of deep breaths in, and it's nice also to just let it out through the mouth. Shaking the shoulders a little bit, so it's very personal. I'm adding a few bits, but you can really do whatever you like here. Shaking out the arms, shaking out the shoulders. And then whatever you've been doing to get to that center, so we always talk about finding our center, coming back into alignment. It kind of means that we've balanced ourselves. I mean, it's nice to think of those chakras from last week, and as we bring ourselves into the center, we're lining all of those things up, or just bringing ourselves relaxation, allowing ourselves to sit comfortably, arrive in the class. They always say that at the beginning of yoga classes, and it is quite powerful, because your brain can put you anywhere. It can put you anywhere in the world. It can put you in any moment in time. But we're asking ourselves to come into this moment on this mat or this area of your floor. Imagine now your shoulder girdle, which is the collection or belt of your shoulders going right around. Imagine it's like a heavy cloak, like that invisibility cloak in Harry Potter for the girls. And imagine that it's heavy. And as you next breathe, imagine that heavy cloak stops you from lifting the shoulders as you breathe in. So you're forced to then use those powerful muscles in the ribs and the diaphragm to breathe. So your shoulders are becoming heavy, and you're letting those muscles relax up in the upper traps. Let's do a few little bits and pieces for the neck. So start to bring your head down to the right. Start to bring the chin round to the front. And you might notice some little sounds or feelings here. So as with any yin practice, it's a beautiful philosophy not to go past the barrier, the edge of comfort. So if your little circles need to be small for the first few times, because you're not sure how far that your neck would like you to go, you don't want to provoke anything, then just make those circles smaller. And then bring the chin down a few times. And back up. And down. And then just do some free movements. So what we're doing is, we're not so much just pulling on tissues to lengthen them, we're actually bringing that mind's eye and making ourselves aware of those areas. So you might notice, oh yeah, my right shoulder's really tense. And then you can actually tell yourself to let it go. When you're ready, come back to center. Change the seated position. So this might mean just coming and bringing your legs around the other way. What we're going to do is, with your hands just resting wherever they want to be, so it doesn't matter what position you're in, we're going to do the cat-cows, but not on our hands and knees like we normally do. We're just going to do that with the chest and opening and closing the chest. So if I just turn to the side just for a moment and show you, it doesn't matter, again, it doesn't matter how you sit. So I'm just going to breathe in, and as I breathe in, imagining that the center of the chest is pulling open. And as I breathe out, the exact opposite position on the back pushes back. You can use your pranayama if you want, that's the breath control. So you can use Ujjayi breath if you want, if you know the Ashtanga style breath. And if you don't, it's a little Darth Vader sound. So it's called ocean breath. So as you breathe out, you can close the throat and send the mid-back back. Closing the throat, if that doesn't make sense, it makes a Darth Vader kind of ocean, kind of watery sound like the waves. So it's open the throat for the inhale, open the chest, take the eyes up. Exhale, you can use the hands to guide the movement if you want to. You're pushing back and you're tilting the whole pelvis if possible. Remember to work within your barriers, within your edge of comfort, so you're not pushing past that point. We're moving each segment of the spine here to open up, to shake it out, to get things pumping and moving. So we're doing that nice and slowly a couple more times. And notice you can make your breath longer with each breath in, and that's only if you feel you can. Maybe you already feel like you're taking nice big deep breaths in, that's also great. But if you feel you can go a little further, you can find that extra opening with the lungs, with the ribs, with the diaphragm, then go ahead and try. I'm so excited about this microphone. I'm just looking at it. It's just, I love it because I'm glad you can hear me nice and clearly today as opposed to Wednesday. We're going to come back to center now. Change the legs one more time. And let's just take 1 minute or just under a minute of just that silent sitting. So this is what meditation is all about, really. If you do meditation, is silent sitting. Sometimes it is involving guided sort of instruction, but let's try just under a minute. Find a comfortable position. And just for that brief minute, we're going to sit in stillness, relaxing the eyes, eyelids, relaxing the face. And just noticing any sounds that you can hear around you. And even if you can hear lots of sounds and it's really disturbing, meditation is not about sitting in a silent room. It's about maintaining your own inner stillness. So that's just a tiny little snippet. And if you want to know more, then you can always practice meditation every day just by trying to do that 10 minutes in the morning or what have you. Let's come out and let's do a little bit of movement. So just take your legs out. I just want to just quickly double check everything's okay. Yes. Okie dokie. So we're going to bring our feet out in front like this. And I thought before we go into our first yin posture and we get all still and holdy, we'll do a little bit of movement for the hips and the spine. So with your feet like this, so just up in front like that, what we're going to do is bring the hands up and turn to the right and see how you can touch that knee down. So we're twisting, looking back. Come back around, go round to the left. Oh, I love that because it makes my back really open up straight away. Come round a few times, closing the eyes if you're happy to. And really just putting your mind's eye into the body, noticing what's happening. One leg is twisting one way, one is twisting the other way. And you can include the head and the face, which is the top of the spine, and you can look right behind you. Once you feel that that is moving correctly and you're finding a flow, start to breathe with it now. Bring the breath and the movement together. So I'll let you decide whether you breathe in as you come round and out as you go back. Or maybe you go a different way. You breathe a little bit longer or slower. Notice what parts of your body are responding well to that movement and what parts of your body are saying, what are you doing? I'm feeling tight today. Just a couple more times and your speed is yours. So sometimes I feel like going quicker and that's okay. And sometimes that mindful movement for me is really slow. Don't forget to include the toes and the feet. So I'm spreading the toes nice and wide as I go around, flexing and pointing the feet. And then come back to center. Bring the legs nice and wide for just a moment, pointing and flexing a few times. And then bring the knees in. So what we'll do now is we're going to move on to our first yin pose. Now, for those that have been coming to yin for a long time, you'll know this. We don't always do it. We're going to do the toe stretch. So this is the one where we sit on our toes like this. Please make sure you've got lots and lots of padding under the knees. And if your toes are quite stiff, or that you feel that they don't go as far as they want to and it's very tight, then put lots of padding underneath the feet as well. If you feel that sitting like this for 2 minutes is too much, because the toes just don't bend that much, I have an alternative for you. I'm just going to sit on your bum like this, and then we're just going to either keep the knees bent and you can draw the toes back a little bit, or you could put the legs long and you can lean forward and draw them back, but that then turns it into another pose. So if it's okay, keep the knees bent and we'll just target the feet. So we're going to start with a toe stretch for 2 minutes. And I'm sorry if you're already in. If you're already in, come out for a moment, tap the feet. Let's go in together. When my phone is ready, and let's go in. So we're sitting onto the heels. We can take a pillow, I forgot to mention, and we can put the pillow between the bum and the heels if that's better. Only if you feel you need that. With the eyes, we're nice and closed. So we close the eyes sometimes just to get into our mind's eye and feel what's happening in the body. Where are the tensions? The target area here is the bottom of the feet. So those muscles of the feet that may usually be in your shoes, perhaps not this week if you've been in the garden a lot. I've been out barefoot a lot. But this is a nice opening for that plantar fascia, or the connective tissue that connects the foot to the back of the leg all the way up and all the way around the back side of the body, and the muscles of the sole of the foot. So we've got 1 minute left to go. So this pose can be very tough. I am not finding it tough because I'm very mobile in the toes, but I understand that it is tough for some people. So with just 40 seconds left to go, can you maybe roll the shoulders up, back and down, maybe even bringing the hands behind you and just drawing the fists together, or the hands together, and relaxing the shoulders. We're going to start bringing a little bit of awareness to the shoulders in preparation for the next few poses. Breathing with the pose, even though there's no movement, with each and every calm and steady exhale, allowing the body and the muscles to unwind around the target area. Just 9 seconds left to go. It could feel a little bit tight in the shins now, and that's normal. And we can finish. Come forward onto your hands, very gently, just lifting the feet in the air. Let them just relax by themselves first, and then we can come around and just take a moment to rebound the feet. So have a look at the feet as you come around. How did that go for you? Shake out the legs. You might want to contract a little bit and reawaken the feet, because I know it's quite an intense pose. And then when you've done that and you feel connected and your feet are still there and they haven't fallen off or anything, let's lean into the hands. Nice long wide position with the hands. And here's an option in this rebound to bring the hands forward and to lean back and bend the elbows a little bit, and we start to wake up the shoulders. So we're leaving the feet to relax, letting the feet come back to their neutral position, letting them unwind and integrate the changes. And we're just bending the elbows a few times. Keeping the chin nice and low, so you're not throwing the head back too much, so you keep space in the back of the neck. And we're finished there. So bring your feet back towards you, and then just come into, we're not going to do a butterfly, but just come into a butterfly for a moment. Bring the feet together and just massage through the feet and just touch the areas that you just targeted for a moment to feel what's happening in there. Great. So the next thing we're going to do is a child's pose sequence. So we're going to target quite a bit of the shoulders now, as I said before, and add the thread the needle. So we're going to start in a normal child's pose. So take your time. You've got about, say, 30, 40 seconds at least to think about. I'll just show you a child's pose without any props. So you've just got your sitting on the heels like that. My feet automatically go in, and then I can bring my head down and relax like that. So a couple things you may want is a pillow for the head, maybe, if you feel that you want to put that. That's not so great, I guess, for the neck, but that can be an option if you feel you really need it. You can put something between the calf and the sit bones if your knees feel too tight in that position. You can also take one of your bedroom-like pillows or bolsters and put it between there, and then you can bring your head down. You can also, sorry for all the options, you can also bring two pillows in and have it in a T shape in front of you like that. This has got to be the most delicious, because you can actually hug around and you can do that. So we're not going to stay for an awful long time in our first child pose, because we're going to add our variations. So choose a child pose, and we're going to call that the base camp. That's going to be the starter point that we come back to. So coming into your child pose. So remember that with child pose, it should be a restful pose, but there is a target area. So you can see that with the knees wide, if you have them wider, you're opening through the hip, the groin and the inside legs, and also stretching around the front of the thigh and a little bit through the lower back if you're all the way down. So let's just spend 1 minute in child pose. You're probably already there. And find a position with your arms that you like, that makes you feel safe. So remember, I mentioned that when we breathe, you've got those 3 layers of muscles that are helping that rib cage, each individual rib, to open. But also your diaphragm, which makes your belly go out when you breathe in. It attaches onto the lower spine, onto the lumbar spine. And as it pushes down, it pushes into that abdominal cavity, which includes your kidneys at the back. So as you breathe the next couple of times, can you feel that as you push down with the breath? You can feel that it's stretching all around that abdominal region, your belly, around the back as well. Okay, so coming back out very slowly, and we're going to add the first modification. So first of all, we're just going to bring the knees back together. So we're going to do the left and the right, and then we're going to rebound for those wondering about rebounds. So in your child pose, so this might be where you've still got your pillow between the legs there. We're going to lean forward, walking the hands. We're going to start in the middle. So we're going to bring the fingertips perhaps up like that. So you can we're starting to target the shoulders around the lats here, around the shoulder armpits. And once you feel you've reached quite far with the fingers, you may be up on your little fingertips, and then bring the head down. So you may notice now that we're already targeting the mid-back now. You can feel that your mid-back is stretching and reaching, and where it's normally rounded a little, it's starting to be taken the other way. Now remember, we want to just play with the edge. So we don't want you to be going, I don't want you to be going all the way as far as you can to the point where all of your muscles and tissues are at their final stretch, thinking it's game over. So come back from that, take a deep breath in. And eventually you may feel that you're able to melt yourself forward. So that's a gentle melting or drifting forward as those tissues end up trusting you a little bit more, and they let go because they're not being pulled. For the last few seconds, just make sure that you're locating the breath and you're taking that breath down into the diaphragm, so the belly is pushing out, And you can feel that that's pressing into the whole belly region, including the kidneys at the back, the lower back. And then coming back out. So I think actually I've just decided we've been in that position a little bit long, to be honest. We're going to do a little rebound to get those hips open one more time. So bring yourself down onto your front. And let's just take a mini rebound in the middle just to let the hips come back. So take a nice position on the floor that feels comfy. You can bring your arms over in front of your face, but it'd be nice to put yourself in that neutral position with the shoulders, and let the fronts of the shoulders relax down. So you may notice now that you can feel that between the hip and the thigh, where it was all closed off in the child pose, it's able to freely flow again. Take a moment now to turn your head the other way if you've got your head one way. And then start to wake up the body again. Bring your forehead down to the floor, hands to the floor as well, either side of the rib cage. Do a gentle half push, so it's kind of like don't go all the way, just a little lift of the lower back, or the upper back, sorry. And then tuck your toes, tuck the tailbone, and push yourself back. Make it a nice yinny, slow transition, leaning back. And then what we'll do next is we're going to add our modifications in of the left and right. So we're going to go left to start. So you're going to be back in your child pose. And if you need an extra pillow for your hips, then, or your knees, that's great. You can do that. Or just nothing. If you want to just practice it, it'll be 1 minute on each side. So it'll be a total of about 3 minutes with all the moving. We're going to go forward again with the hands. Head is going to come down. And let's start to walk on fingertips, if you like, all the way round to the left, but anchoring the hips down where you've placed them before you started to move. Coming round to the left and relax. We're really starting to open up. Now, here's a little edit. You can take the left hand and place it under the right and let yourself roll to the left a little bit. You may want to take a little pillow here, because I'm just thinking that might be nice for some people to actually have something to lean on. So you can take a little pillow and pop yourself. So we're just turning to the left with the torso and resting. If that doesn't make sense, or anything doesn't make sense, then don't worry about it. It was just child pose, and walk to the left and you can stay there. You could even add something else in that you fancy adding in. Here I've added in a little twist and popped a pillow there to rest on. If you are on fingertips with the right hand, you could relax those now. It's probably a bit intense to hold those for so long. Come back to the breath now and make sure that you feel supported. If it's not working or something feels difficult, then maybe just open it back up again and find the position that lets you relax for the last 15 seconds. And then start to come and unwind the pose, bringing the left arm out, walking it back to center, walking the hands in. There's a little mini option here for people that would like to do it. You can come up, hands to the lower back, almost, well, it is a camel. This is camel pose in Yang style. And you can just let that front of that hip open up. And you can keep the chin down, or you can just look up to the ceiling. And then come back in, and we'll turn around to the right now. So I've only turned so that I don't turn towards the wall. You can stay. So coming into your last child pose, and making sure that you feel supported again. No limit to how many times you can put new pillows in here, there, and everywhere. So under the sit bones, between the legs. Arms go forward. We're going to go over to the right. You can feel that that left side of your arm and your armpit all the way around the rib cage is starting to get that stretch. Playing with your edge, not going past the edge. And then the right hand can come underneath, take your pillow ready to your right ear and roll over a tiny bit. So obviously that not everything will be achievable for everybody, and that's the same for me. And it's just options to see if you want to do that, but if you find another position that works, then go ahead, that's fine. If you've got those fingertips up, you can maybe rest them down, start to unwind the pose and relax the muscles around the target area. So left side of the torso, relax it. Make sure you feel supported by your pillow if you've got one. About 10 seconds left to go. Maybe you want to even move that left hand further back. Just tiptoeing along with the fingertips. Tiptoeing is for toes, isn't it? What is it for fingers? Tip fingers along the floor and adding in that extra little bit. And then we'll come back. Let's unwind all the way back to child pose. And then let's come out, walk the hands forward. That's enough of the child pose legs. Come up into camel if you would like, hands to the lower back again. Hands really gripping into the lower back. Keep the hips forward, start to look back. Just for a few moments. And then let's come down and a well-deserved full proper rebound. So rebound is what we do in between poses when we integrate all of the work that we've done through the pose. So take it in supine or lying on your back if you want, or you could lie on your front if you prefer. I quite like really making my bed when I do this. Coming down into the first big proper rebound, making yourself comfy. I've popped a pillow under the knees to support my lower back because it's quite arched and it just brings it down a little bit. Also good for sore backs. Hands to belly here is a nice thing to do. Put your hands on your belly and observe that diaphragm moving. So if when you breathe naturally, your belly moves in and or up and down, then you are breathing really well. And that means that your body is supporting itself, all of its systems. Your brain gets enough oxygen, your tissues, your muscles. Everywhere is getting enough oxygen. And of course, good breath equals nice, relaxed and calm mind as well. So notice at the front of your hips there, because we're gonna do a nice hip flex stretcher in a minute. So you might notice that from the child pose, we really closed off that front of the hip, so it was nice and it was all closed and folded. So you may notice now that you can feel sensations in the front. Perhaps for you it's the other side, it's the back. So observe what's happening in the hip area, and it's really good each time you practice yoga or yin especially to take notes, little mental notes, so that you can use your practice to support your health and keep your joints happy. We're going to start to come out of the rebound now, so we're going to move to the next pose. So take it slowly here, and if your energy, if you feel like you want to move quickly, of course, go ahead. But if you want to move slowly, it will keep those muscles and all that mind-body connection nice and on a slow rhythm. So start to move the feet and the hands, taking a breath in, maybe doing the exact same thing that we did in the toe stretch, but with the hands. So opening up the palms of the hands to the ceiling, stretching out maybe those nice typing fingers. If your name's Vic, like me, I've been doing a lot of work this week on the computer. And if you have got your hands above your head like that, interlaced, start to bring them round to the left and right a little bit. So you're now rotating through the thoracic spine or the mid spine. So the thoracic spine has ribs attached to it, if you ever need to remember which one the thoracic spine is. And it's quite stiff when we do lots of sitting. So bring your elbows and bend them, and then do that one more time, left and right, with the elbows bent. And then we'll come out of the rebound completely. So reach tall if you want, point the toes, and then bring your knees in. As long as bending knees into chest doesn't cause any pain for you, then do that. And then we can roll left to right a little bit. Coming round to the left if possible, or the right, doesn't matter. And scoot back. Remember in the studio, I always used to say scoot back because everyone rolled over to the side. And just take that fetal position for a moment. Let the left side of the head or right side of the head, whichever, just relax to the floor, to the hand, or to the pillow. And then we're going to come up to seated. So we're going to do our thread the needle on both sides. And then we're going to do our crucifix pose on both sides, if you don't mind today. And then we'll do a nice rebound at the end of those bits. So couple of things to do and then a nice rebound again. So thread the needle, hands and knees. So we'll go hands and knees like that. So make sure that so you're going to be staying in this position for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So make sure that you've got plenty, and I honestly cannot stress enough, plenty of padding underneath the knees. So if you're on a hard floor with a yoga mat, that's not probably the best thing. Take a blanket or something like that, pop it under there, a towel. Hands and knees, and we've got the toes tucked if you like, doesn't have to be. And then take your left arm and make your right arm your supporting arm. So your weight's on there, you're pressing your fingers into the mat, you've unlocked the elbow, and then take the left arm through. This is going to be lovely for that mid-back thoracic spine. So left arm through, and then you can rest, if possible, resting that left upper arm on the floor. Sometimes that's not possible. Maybe you need to put a pillow there. That's probably quite comfy as well. And take the left arm through. Also nice for the head. So this doesn't have to look like any Instagram yoga pose. And it really is important that you make it work for your body. So some people who have got more mobility, they might want to put the right leg back. If they've got the left arm through, they might want to bring that right arm round and just bring the hand to the lower back. And then just closing the eyes, looking up. And that might be a bit too strenuous. And you might think, oh, just put that knee back down. And then you might want to, I sometimes find my one foot hooks over the other. So what are the main target areas? So we're really twisting through the thoracic spine, the mid spine. That's the main thing. And of course, the muscles around that mid spine that attach the shoulder to the spine get a little bit of a tension or a gentle stressing here. Relax the arm that's long on the floor, relax it. I just noticed I was pressing it. It's amazing how much we don't notice those contractions sometimes. Scan through the body now from the fingers and just check that you're not tensing up because your brain subconsciously is saying, I'm not safe, I need to protect you. Take a couple of breaths here and see if you can unwind the muscles around the pose. So you don't need to be holding those muscles in tension around the left arm, shoulder. 10 seconds left to go. And then what we're going to do, so I'm sorry if I didn't mention, you didn't have to, I feel like I said you have to put your arm here. You don't have to tuck the arm around, by the way. Sorry if you did that, you didn't like it. Hand can stay on the floor, but bring it back if it is around the lower back. First of all, just press that right hand in and then push into the floor and let that left arm almost like it isn't your arm and you're pulling it out, attached to a string. Let it come out. Come back to sit on your heels for a moment, and we're just going to put ourselves in a very quick mini rebound just to let that left shoulder and mid-spine come back. 3 or 4 breaths, so just taking in a couple of fresh breaths, feeling the shoulders. You might notice that the left shoulder feels different to the right now. Definitely for me in the bicep area feels different. And then you don't need to move like I have. I'm just turning to show you the right side. But we're going to go back into hands and knees. And I actually really liked that pillow there. So if you do, this is just a sofa pillow. So if you have one of those, put it there. And the left arm comes down now and becomes your support. And you press the fingers and unlock the elbow. And we'll take the right arm. So remember, if you go really fast, you might stop too soon. So just take a breath. Exhale, bring the right arm through the gap and rest the head down. So you might want the arm to be free underneath the pillow. So remember, there's lots and lots of little things you can do to make it work for you. And for me, this is more of a tighter side. I can feel that I'm right-handed, so maybe that's why, but this is very tight for me. So I'm going to bring my knees a little bit wider, perhaps you too, and maybe even bring that pillow a little higher to support my head. The left arm can come around. That adds a little bit of twist in for the spine. And there goes my little foot tuck. I don't even know why I do that. It's weird. And let's breathe here and let the pose do its thing whilst we breathe, relax, and let go of all the target area muscles. What do you think your abdominal muscles are doing here? So if you can feel your abdominal muscles, are they contracting? Are they holding? Are they protecting? Or are you able to release those muscles? Is your belly feeling relaxed? There's no right or wrong answer. It's individual. I think if your body feels safe here or it's in a good position, maybe it will relax. And if I do consciously let go of my abdominal muscles, I notice that I feel like I deepen the pose a little bit. That's just me. Any pain or discomfort, you always know to come back from it. Don't ever stay. I get a little pinch in my shoulder there, so I'm just going to come back a little bit. That straight arm on the floor is relaxed. Just over 10 seconds left to go. Notice on the last couple of breaths that when you breathe, you can feel the lungs as they contact the back of that thoracic spine. So the back of your ribs, they also move a little bit. Those muscles also live between those ribs at the back. The whole thing moves. So bringing that left arm, if you have it somewhere, bring it back to the floor. Take a moment to place each finger down and think about how you'd like to come out. So the beauty of Yin is the slow transitions, making our mind and body feel safe. So the nervous system can start to switch off any unnecessary contractions and tensions in the body. One of the theories. Come back to hands and knees for a moment. Find a comfortable seated position. If your knees are an issue today and sitting on your heels is just not for you, or isn't for you ever, then that's fine. You would always take a different position than in that moment. Just taking 10 or 20 seconds for the two shoulders, the two arms, the two sides of the back to come back to center. So we're going to go into our I'm sorry I call it crucifix. That is not okay, is it? That's not PC. I can't remember what it's called, but I think everyone knows what I mean because we lie flat on the floor and we roll over. So let's do that. In class, I see people get a bit confused with the rollover part. So if you could just, if you know this pose, go ahead and start getting in. If you don't, just hold your right arm out like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to be lying on the floor. So here's the floor. So look to the left because you're lying looking to the floor like that. And then we're going to roll over. So turn this shoulder and turn it that way. What's happening is we're stretching our pectoral muscles, pectoralis muscles here in the chest. They're big, strong muscles that you use to swim and move and operate your, daily tasks like that. So this can be quite a tight pose. Some people might not feel anything. So there's a few little extra bits for you if you are one of those people. I don't have many choices of which way to show this. So I think I'll show you with the left arm. So I'm lying flat to the floor here and my left arm is going to stay exactly as it is. My right hand comes up onto the floor in front of my face. I'm looking to the right. I'm going to push, so I'm using my right shoulder strength to push and I roll slightly. So if I just show that for anyone that is watching for the first time on the other side, so all I've done is swap arms to just show the other side. So I'm looking that way and I'm rolling in like that. Going back to the left, as you push, I lift one of my knees up and some people find they can roll all the way over. Now, that is an option. I think I shouldn't have said that first. I'm going to come back out and backtrack. First of all, just bring your mind's eye into the left shoulder. As you push, make sure you're not going too far. In Yin Yoga, we don't go anywhere near gritting teeth or face muscles because we're stretching so much. It should be a gentle feeling happening in that left shoulder where I pointed to when I was sitting. So anyone that's already in, we're going to be here for another minute. So if that's too much for you, remember, an advanced Yin practitioner, even in a group class, will be going in and out of postures when their body needs it. And here's a pillow under my head as another option. So are you not feeling anything in the chest? Perhaps in this situation, when you're not feeling anything, you want to bring the left arm and take it towards 12 o'clock, like this. We have just 20 seconds left for those that are in the pose. When the arm is at 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock like that, you can then find a different angle for the pose. If you feel a zinginess down the arm, then you might want to come back from that and just take it easy. Sorry if that's new, sorry if that doesn't quite work for you. And we're going to roll back out. So you've got your left arm stretching. We're going to come out back to center. Bring the forehead down. Bring the left and the right arm together, palms facing the ceiling, and take a mini half rebound just to let the blood flow go back into the left arm if for any reason it was kinked for a few seconds. And when I say kinked, I don't mean completely cut off, but when we move around in our limbs, certain structures do get changed a little bit. So you might notice a little change there. Let's go into the right side. So this time I'll show you, you'll see me on this side, the right arm goes out, you're hugging the floor, the palm of the hand is down, right hand. You're relaxing the whole shoulder. So if you try to go into the pose and you're tensing all of your muscles, it'll be a different type of stretch. Not wrong, but we like to, in the Yin style, we like to switch everything off, try to get deeper than the muscles, try to get into the joints, the surrounding joints. So you're looking to the left, your left hand is up to the floor, pushing and rolling. So you're going as far as you can that it feels comfortable still. If you don't feel anything, you're coming back to the center, bringing the hand up towards 12 o'clock. So just up towards your head and you're rolling back in. The knee doesn't have to move. You could just be rolling a little bit with feet together like this. when you have found your edge, that's when you can ask yourself, do I need to be pressing to the floor so much with my left hand? Is my head relaxed enough? Is my hip okay? Is my left knee okay? And let's dive into that yin state. Relax everything we don't need. So 20 seconds left on this side. Another little check-in with the body to see whether there's any subtle signs that the body doesn't feel safe. So you need to just do a little bit of a body scan. Is the right leg, I notice my right leg tenses up a bit sometimes. Maybe my left knee wants to come down for the end. And then very, very, very slowly, because it can wake up a little bit of discomfort when we do these movements, because maybe you haven't moved like that this week or in a while. So come back to center. Come into your rebound now. So my favorite is always on my back. So let's take a nice, comfortable rebound in Shavasana or corpse pose. Legs nice and wide, arms nice and wide. Wow, can you feel the difference now in the shoulders? So we've really spent some time on the front and the back of the shoulders in that sequence. I can really feel that, especially in my dominant arm, my right arm. Notice the position that your head is in, whether you're pressing your head down, is your chin far away from your chest? Do you want to bring it, can you bring it back to a neutral position? Is it best to have your head just lying onto the floor? Take a moment to travel down into your toes, your big toes, second, third and fourth, fifth toes, and let them go. Release any tension that you can. And accept any tension or sensations that you can't control, just for now. Come up the feet, through the arches of the feet. We've worked on the feet today, which was nice, probably not nice. Coming up through the legs, just letting go of all those muscles in the calves and the shins. And the quadriceps, the thighs and the hamstrings. Abdominal region is all relaxed and the diaphragm is able to push down, pumping all that waste back to the heart or blood down to the lower limbs. Coming back to that sternum area, noticing the rib cage moving, those 3 layers of muscles that work together all the time, all day long, all night long, all life long. They never ever stop. Imagine. Your jaw and neck is relaxed because you're able to let go now. The body tenses in protection. And the body sometimes creates pain in protection. Your body is always, well, your brain is always working for you like that. So here we're just unwinding some of the things that we don't need to hold at this moment. Every now and again you might get a spontaneous big breath. Go with that, and that happens to me every couple minutes as you kind of do that bigger breath. Don't force it if that hasn't been happening for you. That's just a thing, just a little thing. Let's start to wake up the toes now, very gently moving the toes, spreading a little bit wide, pointing and flexing the toes, then the feet. Start to bring the palms of the hands in towards the forearms, and you notice the back of the wrist stretches. Start to do the Spider-Man thing, bring the palms away from you, lift the arms up, you feel the front of the forearm stretch. Bring your hands up in front of you, your face, interlace the fingers and stretch the palms of the hands again. This time move the arms left and right and notice if it feels, and this is not obviously a right or wrong, but just notice if you feel any changes in that movement there in the thoracic spine. No magical cures for anything, even in the yoga world, but just observing what's happening. And then we'll bring the knees in. Do those window wipers if you like. I love doing that for my lower back and my hips. It really opens up because we're going to move into the hips now. So we're going to start targeting deep structures of the hips. So gently window wiping the legs now in preparation. Taking a couple of deeper breaths in. As you breathe out, take your time. Push all of the air out. Sometimes we only breathe half of it out and we operate on that half capacity. So push it all out. Even through the mouth. Nice to breathe out through the mouth sometimes. I know we always say nose. I sometimes ask myself why we always say nose. We don't have to follow all the rules, do we? Let's come round to the left or the right. Left representing the yin side of the body. Come into your little protective fetal position for a moment and rest your eyes. 2 poses left to go. 2 very important poses actually. We're going to do a lunge on each side and we're going to do a sphinx for the lower back. So we're going to get into the hip flexors in the lunge and then back. So coming up to seated. And I'm just looking at the time, very impressed. I always go over and I look like I might make it tonight, as I always try. So hands and knees. So we're going to do our lunge. So with the lunge, have some pillows nearby, have some props, have some stuff near you. So let's go with the left first. Doesn't matter, but just because of the side that I'm on. So with the lunge, you have a couple of options. If you're feeling like you'd like to move a little bit, you could lift into a down dog. You could step the left foot forward into a lunge. You could also just come up into what we did before with the camel pose, and you could then, even using the wall to hold on to the wall, you can then just step that forward. And remember, you need lots of padding under your knee, so the right knee. I don't know if a cushion like that would be too much, but you can also just go with one arm forward like that. So we're going to get into that right hip flexor first. So this is just to let you know, we're targeting a muscle that goes from it's a huge muscle that goes from the lower back all the way through the middle of your body down into your leg. And it's responsible for bringing the knee up to the chest when we walk or when we run or walk. So sitting at the desk a lot, driving a lot can make it weak but tight. So we want to wake it up now. We're not so much we don't want to pull it too much. We want to wake it up, bring that mind-body connection through. So in the lunge, you can choose, I mean, there's lots of little options. You can come round to the side a little bit. Some people who don't have tricky ankles roll onto the outside of the foot like that. That just opens the hip more. Some people don't like that because it's not good for the ankle. So walk the foot wide. Some people take their bolsters and pillows and they make a little mountain. It's nice. And then you could even lie, I mean, this is going a bit extreme because that's a bit extreme, but you could lie onto a little bit of a pillow mountain. But you don't always need lots of props. As long as you're happy that you're not pushing too far, you can start perhaps facing forward. You can bring the foot back. Just remember that we're targeting the right side. So turn a little bit if you like, turning into the left. So bringing the hips left and try to maybe even bring the forearms down. And I'll start the timer now for 1.5 minutes on each side. Let's make that 2 minutes on each side, sorry. It's really important now to get that breath involved in the pose because it's, you know, I've given a lot of instruction and maybe you're thinking, oh gosh, where am I? Just find yourself in a position where you're able to breathe freely for a moment, even if it's not resembling the full pose. And then with each breath, you can go and explore where that edge is, the edge of comfort, we call it, or just the edge of the length of the muscle or the position of the joint. Make sure your right foot is relaxed and that your right side is relaxed. And feel free, if a lot of you have been practicing Yin for a long time, you can feel free to really edit the pose. Some people might even want to go back into that thread the needle almost. They might even want to come down to the floor and bring the head all the way down or arm down like that. Some people come all the way down with their right hip, and then that changes it slightly. Just take a moment to drop your head, drop your chin, release. "30 seconds left to go." Explore the edge again. You'll notice that your edge will change as you go through the minutes. So perhaps it's time to just release the rest of that exhale, the other 50%, let it out. Supporting yourself with the shoulders and the arms here. And always pulling back if you need to pull back, because sometimes if you find you've gone way too far, it's going to be counterproductive. Let's come out now. So remember to take some steps, sort of unwind it, the opposite way of that you went in. So first, bring the arms out, come up. It's always nice to push the hands into the mat and bring the hips back. And then very slowly, that was a bit too fast on my behalf, and bring yourself back. You can come down into the prone position. And I think it'd be really nice for us to add that Sphinx pose in the middle instead of doing both sides first, to give the legs time to rebound. So we're going to go into Sphinx in the middle. So with Sphinx, you've got your forearms down like this. It's a gentle compression in the back. So you can have your legs as wide as you like, maybe within reason, but they don't have to be together at all. So relax and press the pubic bone, or that front of your pelvis. You can feel it perhaps onto the cushion or the floor. Some people like to have a support here. You can see that it's a little bit of a back bend almost, right? So you can feel that you're pushing your back. See if you can gently guide your back into that extension a little bit without contracting those back muscles to lift. So that might even mean that you really bring your elbows in. And once you feel your elbows are in position, bring your mind's eye, close your actual eyes, and just take your mind's eye into the back. Locate where you think the last thoracic vertebra is, the last vertebra that has a rib attached to it. And then work your way down from there. With every inhale, you can feel it moving in that area, and you're feeling it relax as well. Option for those that would like to go a little further, who honestly feel that they'd like to deepen the back bend a little bit, even if it adds a bit more yang, then you can bring that seal arms, you can bring the seal arms in so you can straighten them. I don't like it at all. A bit too much for my elbows. So we're in the Sphinx pose there. Relax you're working your way down the lower back muscles, and with each breath, you're feeling it release a little bit. And even if you don't feel it release, you're just visualizing that release happening in that area, all the way down now into the coccyx. And then the glutes. So feel your buttock muscles relax. I bet you most of us will feel like a few inches of movement because we were tensing without realizing, as protection. And release there. Tops of the feet may roll. See how the leg rolls when you let go of the glutes. So your glute muscles, when they contract, they roll the leg heels together. And then when they release, the heels go away. For the last 20 seconds, bringing the focus into the breath, pressing the belly into the floor or the pillow, and the shoulders relaxing at the same time. So just breathing, blowing up that balloon as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, making sure all of the air has left the balloon. And we'll start to come out. So one more little thing to do before we get our final rest and we integrate everything. So come down to the floor, pushing back up very, very nicely into that nice long child pose again. And we're going to do the other side. So I've turned because of the camera, but you can stay on that side. So coming into your right side lunge, however you'd like. So option to go from the down dog, to step your foot forward, or even just to help your foot forward with your hand like that. No rules, nothing. It's not about how you get there, it's about what we target when we arrive. Have enough pillows around you again. Try to be creative, because if I try to give every single option, I keep thinking of things afterwards that I could say, but you can be creative. There's lots of different things we can do in our yin pose postures to support the body. The idea is that we're adding some moderate or mild stress to the target area, but not going past that edge of comfort, not going ouch or gritting the teeth. Another thing that I would like to mention is if you do get a little bit of sore or pain in the front of the hip when we do these deep poses like child pose or lunge, you can take a little towel and wrap it, and you can pop it just over that area just to reduce that compression happening. So these kind of poses, that's exactly what happens to me. And so I always forget to bring my little towel when I teach. So 2 minutes when we're ready. Remember, you don't have to stay completely still. So the idea in yin is to find stillness in the pose, to let things unwind around the target area. But we don't have to. Sometimes we need to do a little shuffle or a move to enable the body to feel safe and comfortable to continue the pose. So you may realize halfway through the foot is too far forward or to the right, and that's okay. Move, support. So just over 30 seconds left on this side. Just check in now. How's it feeling? Do you need to change something? Are your wrists okay if you're holding your wrists like that? If you've got your arms straight, unlock. Keep checking that you're sharing that responsibility around the body, that you're not just sacrificing your wrists just to get the hip flexor stretch. And then see for those last 10 seconds, do you want to move in any other way? Sometimes I like to look up to the ceiling actually, but that's turning into a different type of practice, but do what you like here. We're now going to go and come out of the pose and start to head into our final rebound and shavasana. So bring the knee back very slowly, bring the weight back up of your wrists. If you've been holding yourself up for that time, do a few little circles in the wrist, that just pumps. If anything, doing that's a nice pump just to get all the fluids and everything, drainage and everything back and forth. Now we're going to move into that lovely final slumber party moment. So get yourself all set up. Anything goes. Get a blanket. So I'm just going to shut the window here because it's starting to get chilly. Cover yourself if you want to. And we'll do a couple of minutes of Shavasana and let everything integrate into the body, into the mind. Take a moment just to feel all of the postures that we did tonight. So that would have been one of my more jam-packed classes that had a few more postures in it tonight. So maybe you're feeling lots of sensation around the body. Maybe you've just at least felt that now you've put some effort into just clearing your mind a little bit, or just clearing the lungs a little bit. So just take something that you can notice from your practice. And if you notice that there hasn't been much change, that's okay as well. So there's never a wrong answer. So tonight's class was aimed at just resetting our body in terms of posture, getting our spine moving, bringing our mind into the body, searching around for any tension that we don't need at this moment, and then hopefully guiding it to switch off a little bit. And remember that mind and body should never ever have been divided into two things, because I don't believe that they are two separate things at all. So tension that we find in the body is tension in the mind. Often we relate hips and shoulders to stress, and jaws to anger. So of course, when we practice with the body, we're also working so much with the whole of us. Let's stay here for just half a minute more, 30 seconds, noticing any sounds around you, relaxing the eye muscles and the face, just enjoying the last few moments of peace and stillness in this very unique position in the yoga class. And then we'll start to lengthen the next couple of breaths, start to increase the oxygen going into the body. The rib cage starts to lift and wake up as if it's sunrise in the morning and it's time to start moving. Start to point the toes and move the fingers around a little bit. Spontaneous yawn, which I always get at this point. I sometimes always lift my hips up off of the floor using the bolster or the pillow. And then option to bring the knees halfway into the chest, or all the way into the chest, up to you, and then a little bit left and right. And also nice time to bring the legs up in the air, point and flex the feet, little pumping action through the ankles, draining off if you've been standing a lot today or this week, or running around a lot this week. Just pumping through. No need to straighten the legs there, you can just bend knees, absolutely fine. And then bring yourself down, and let's go into that little fetal position on the side for the last time together for this practice. And then pressing back up to seated. Coming into a comfortable seated position. Remember, you can always pop something under the seat, under the sit bones. And then just in a comfortable seated position. So if this isn't comfortable, don't do it because you've done so much work to balance everything off. So sit any which way that feels good. Bringing the hands together at heart center. I would like to say Om 3 times. Now, there's a good reason why I don't do it normally, because I feel sometimes that in group classes, people I don't know if they receive it well, but Om is a beautiful sound. It also clears out any, I think for me, it clears out any tension in my chest as well. It's really good to stimulate relaxation. So I'm going to finish the class with 3 Oms, and you can join or not, but that's okay. So I'm going to breathe in and then I'll come out with Om 3 times. Inhale, bring the arms up over the head, reaching tall. Exhale, hands down through the center, bow down in gratitude for the practice. Thank you to whoever invented this because it's so awesome. Paul Greeley, more the traditional ones. Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to unmute and stop the recording.